If one wants to read, one must first open the book. Hi, my name is Bay. I'm going to talk to you about the books I read in May. This May, I bounced back to life. I was revived because I had just come out of a 3-week-long illness. I don't know what that was, where it came from. Who knows? Who knows, because I didn't, and neither did the doctors. But anyway, I'm fine now. And what that led to was me being out of my semester in undergrad and without a job. Lots of time on my hands. Lots of time on my hands for me to get my little hands on a bunch of books and read them. And now I'm going to yap about them, and you're going to like it. Okay, I read 8 books this month. But I'm going to talk about 9. I'm going to talk about 9. And the first one is one that I read the last 100 pages of in the beginning of May. I finished this book in May, and that was Wuthering Heights by Emily Brontë. Did I start this book last winter? Yes. Did the semester in undergrad that I am currently in, did I say that already? Did it start and therefore I lost all free time and was no longer able to read this? Yes. Did I pick it back up when I was sick and finished it? Yes, I did. So I thought, you know what, I finished it in May, might as well talk about it now. This story, sure you've heard of it, maybe you haven't, and that's okay, is about a family. It's a classic. This story is more so about the quote unquote love story between Catherine and Heathcliff. Is it a love story? In my opinion, absolutely not. In a lot of people who have read the book's opinion, absolutely not. But we start out with Catherine as a young girl. Her father, whilst in Liverpool, finds Heathcliff, brings him, and raises him as his son. So yeah, Catherine and Heathcliff are raised like brother and sister. And they fall in love. And their ghosts, especially Catherine's ghost, haunts the entire novel. It is a book about haunting. It is a book about obsession, unhealthy attachments, desire. It is a cautionary tale. I wouldn't call this a love story. It is a cautionary tale about obsession and what it can do to someone if they let that obsession take control of them, if they let this ghost in their life haunt them forever. That's what Wuthering Heights is about. And it's amazing. My face for the last 10 pages of this book was like at a constant, if that sums up how it ends. Oh, but you gotta find out for yourself. Read it. The next book that I read, you might have heard of this. It is an international bestseller. It is this author's debut novel. I've had it on my bookshelf for a while. When I first bought it, picked it up, opened it, read a little bit of it, it made my mind spiral a little bit with what happens immediately. So I had to put it down, but I picked it back up and started again this month. I don't know how long ago that was. And that book, drum roll, is If Cats Disappeared from the World by Genki Kawamura. This is a good book. It's a really interesting premise. It is about a young man who finds out that he has a terminal illness and he only has a really short amount of time left to live. It's devastating. And then he's visited by the devil, and the devil tells him that he actually only has 1 day left to live. Devastating times 10. But the devil offers him a deal that he can take, and that is if he rids something from the world, one thing from the world entirely, he gets to choose what it is. He gets to live 1 more day. every one thing that he rids from the world, he gets to live one more day. That's the premise of the book. It's a really interesting idea. I think this book had a lot of potential. Unfortunately, I don't think it was executed as well as I hoped it would have been. There was a lot of faults in the character himself that could have definitely impacted the story and kept impacting it until he grew as a person, but that didn't happen. The faults that he had as a person weren't really addressed, and I would say that it felt as though to me that the character at the end of the book was about the same as the start of it. Kind of. But at least to the point where the main faults that we see within him are never addressed. And that saddened me. That made me a little upset. The writing feels like a debut novel, if that makes sense. The prose is not my favorite. It's not my favorite, but I have to be clear that a lot of that may very well be due to the translation because this was originally written in Japanese and was translated to English. In any translation ever, we lose a lot and we gain a lot, but especially when we're taking two languages so different from each other, like Japanese and English, we are losing a lot and we are also gaining a lot. So, a lot of my quarrels, so to say, with the writing may very well be due to the translation. That I will probably never know because I might never ever speak Japanese. So, this book was probably maybe a 2-star for me just because of that. But I think I would recommend this book to someone who's trying to get past a reading slump or is looking for something still unique and interesting but really simple and easy to get through. And I would also recommend it to someone who may be wanting to get into reading and someone who doesn't read a lot and just needs that something to get them there. I might recommend this book. Maybe not as your first one, but maybe as one if you are interested in it already. Don't pass it up. But just know that it doesn't have the depth that I wish it would have. The difference between when you put milk chocolate chips in brownies versus dark chocolate chips and brownies. Milk chocolate chips and brownies is like, it might be a little too light. It's still good, but might be a little too light. Versus dark chocolate chips, we get in there and we taste it, we go, that's the depth that we were missing. This is milk chocolate chips and brownies. Still good. We're missing some depth though, that I really think would have been beneficial. Next. If there's one thing about me, it's that I like to get my grubby little hands on anything sapphic. Okay? Anything. And here comes Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit by Jeanette Winterson. Oh boy, people did not talk this book up enough. I, 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 yeah, 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 this book did it for me. Also, can we appreciate the cover? Amazing. Beautiful. I want to be seen with this. That's the kind of cover it is. This book, Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit, is about a young girl. It's a coming of age story, I would say, about a young girl who grows up in industrial north of England and is adopted into a family, and the mother is very religious, but that's not where the problem lies. It's that the way that the mother sees herself and the world around her is in a strict black and white mode of thinking, to where things are either holy or heathen. Unfortunately, one of the things that are heathen, often found in religious cultures, especially Abrahamic religion, is being gay. And Jeanette, our protagonist, also the name of the writer, Jeanette is gay. Ooh! Yeah. This is a story about the relationship between a girl and her mother. It's the relationship between herself and the society and culture that she grows up in, and it's the relationship between her and her own journey as a person and what she decides to do with her life because of the circumstances that she's grown up in. The author's writing, I love it. I want to read more of her stuff. This is my first book that I've read of Jeanette Winterson. Wowie, wowie. Um, yeah, yeah, I liked it. The author's dry humor gives a perfect balance with the often dark subject matter that she is writing about. Her own sentence structures is very unique. I didn't find them to be very confusing. There's a lot of specifics within this book. What I mean by that is like specific allusions to a lot of things within this culture, not just the religion, but how this religion is specifically in this place and in this time. Something I know nothing about. I grew up in America. I did not grow up in industrial North England with parents who are strictly religious. I know nothing about that life. So, but even then, I didn't find it to be convoluted. I didn't feel foggy when I was reading it. Still, I didn't get every reference, but I still got it nonetheless. I felt everything I think I was needing to feel. And that's great writing. I think I gave this, I don't know, it's either 4 or 5 stars. I think the ending was okay. I think I gave it 4 stars just because of the ending. We are gonna have to find out what that is. Next book. Oh boy. This book is on my favorites list, I think. Yeah, this is on my favorites list. I first was introduced to this author last semester in undergrad for a course I read one of her short stories, and then the professor recommended this book, and I just had to pick it up. And that book is Ceremony by Leslie Marmon Silko. One of the main takeaways from this video is that you have to read this. And if you're the type of person like me who is stubborn, and if someone tells me to do something, I suddenly can't do it, try and work past that just for this. This book is... Here's what it's about. It's about a young man named Teo, and he's returning home to the Laguna Pueblo reservation after serving in World War II. He was a prisoner of Japan, and he lost a lot of people during this war. People who were very, very close to him, and that he loved very, very much. He lost those people, and he also lost part of himself in this process. He's returning home, and it's about his journey searching for healing and understanding, and I think I would say radical acceptance. But he does that through embedding himself in his culture and in it's the ceremony. And it's through connecting himself to his culture that he finds this healing. This story is non-linear. It's often you don't know what time or place it is. Sometimes we're switching to being in the perspective or following someone that you don't even know if they're related to Teo in any way, shape, or form, but you're following them nonetheless. There's a lot of poems throughout it, there's a lot of cultural references, and it's a very beautiful story. I think no matter who you are, you have to read this. This is like, I think if it's not my one of my top 10 favorites that I've read in my life so far, it's gonna be one of the books that I recommend to people that they just have to read. Also, beautiful cover. Yeah, yeah. This book, you just gotta. Okay? Next. Another coming of age story. Another journey of healing and self discovery and fighting and of hope. You may have heard of it. You may have seen it on the talks, the TikToks. I think it was on there. I'm pretty sure. At least when I found it, and then I looked it up on TikTok, found a lot of videos. So I assume that it's popular on the TikToks. And that's gotta be. And that book is A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith. Yeah, look familiar? Looks familiar, doesn't it? Yeah. When I picked this book up at the bookstore, I thought it was going to be a lot closer to my timeline than it is. It takes place in 1912. If you don't know, it's 2026. That is over 100 years ago. It takes place during the Great Depression. A family, we're following Francie, who's a young girl, and her family as they live in Brooklyn. If you think about the metaphor, or just think about a tree growing through the cracks of cement in Brooklyn, yeah, that's Francie. It's a tree growing through the cement in a place where there's little water and even a smaller amount of sun, but it grows anyway. And it just keeps doing that. It keeps existing and it keeps prevailing. That is Francie. In this story, a lot of stuff happens. It's a coming of age novel, so that's the plot essentially. You really grow to be connected with Francie by the end of the novel, to where Francie becomes a part of you. Am I saying it is Francie, right? Yes. This book relatively thick. Yeah, it calls to a lot of the irony in American rhetoric during this time, especially like the American dream, the idea that everybody's free when that's not true, the idea that if you work hard enough, you'll get everything you want and live comfortably and have enough money to do so. It calls to a lot of that irony by showing the people and the citizens who were trying to do all of that but couldn't because it was just that, it was an idea. Yeah. This book impacted me more after putting it down than it did when I was in it, and I think that has a lot to do with Smith's writing, to where a lot of the traumatic events and things that are happening to Francie, we just take it all in. And she does that with her writing. She states it point blank. And then it's later that we can unpack it. And I think that that's how Francie is as a character. That's who she is. When things happen to her, she just takes it in and then knows that she can deal with it later. She's resilient. Yeah, read it. A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. So, after reading some longer books, I mean, that one was almost 500 pages. After reading those, I needed something to cleanse my mind. I needed a quick book and then I could go on, right? So I was looking through my bookshelf for the skinniest little books that I could find, and I found two that I hadn't read yet that I've been meaning to read. Bet you didn't think you would hear her name on here. That is The Hour of the Star and Àgua Viva by Clarice Lispector. I chose these two books next because I was like, you know what's better than one skinny book? Two. Hand it over. The first book I read, I think I finished it in about one sitting. It's 77 pages. This book, The Hour of the Star, is a work of metafiction. I'm pretty sure I'm using that term correctly. I love metafiction. If you don't know what that is, it's a story that questions or comments on the act of storytelling itself. It's a book that's commenting on itself. Meta. I think that this book falls into that category. I haven't looked online to see if that is correct or not. But anyhow, we have the writer of this book, which is Lispector, and then we have, as we're reading it, we meet the author of the story, which is a different person. He is his own character that Clarice is writing. He has a very distinct voice. He's a very strong character. And he tells us a story about a woman who he says he has to write about or else he'll burst. And even throughout the story that he's telling us, he interrupts in certain moments, and his character has a lot to do with how the story plays out. The story that he's telling, that he almost writes about as though it's something like like funneling through him, that it's not his story but something else's, and he's just the transporter. That's a bad word for that. You know what I mean. But I think that this book speaks a lot on just the act of writing stories itself, like how much the story actually has to do with the person who's writing it, and that we as readers can't forget that. I think this does a really good job of it. Lispector's writing is, you either love it or you hate it. I think you should read it, especially if you are someone who's been reading for a while and you're looking for something a little different. I got an accent there. Um, this is one of those. This is something I think you can pick up. Yeah, it really breaks you out of just reading plot after traditional plot. Yeah, I like this a lot. I did. And in the same day, I picked up Agua Viva. Excuse me. And this book, you know what I think? You know what I think? If I were to tell someone to get into Clarice Lispector, I might, I changed my mind. I might actually, recommend this first because you still get kind of a story. Um, but I think this is a must because this story about it's just a woman who's a painter who's writing a letter to someone. You don't know who this person is. It's stream of consciousness, it's philosophical, it's just a meditation on anything and everything, and it just keeps going one thought after another until it ends. And I think this really, really speaks to who Lispector is as a writer, and would do a really good job at introducing you to what you may expect in her other works. Because she's very unique. She like taps into this energy that we all can connect ourselves to, but most of us don't know how. And I think that this should be used as an artist's Bible. I really do. Because, like the Bible, it can and probably should be read from beginning to end. But I think that this book is the most impactful when you take little parts of it. Um, when you take little parts of it, maybe just a paragraph at a time, and then actually sit with it. I read this in one go. Well, kind of. I started it one day, finished it the next day. Quickly. And I don't know. I might recommend doing that the first time, but I feel like this is going to be something that forever sits in my writing desk for when I'm in a slump and I just need to remind myself to just get back into the flow. Just tap back into that energy. And the energy is right here. Yeah. I mean, come on. It's Lispector. Come on. Now it's the time of the video that I've been dreading. I don't even like touching this book. After this video, when I turn this camera off, I will throw it outside into my little public library hutch and hope that someone grabs it and never brings it back. Um, hmm, hmm. Some of you talked this up a lot online, and that's my fault for looking at people's views of books before reading them. That's my fault. But the book is Earthlings by Sayaka Murata, right? Yes. I, through this book, learned that I don't like disturbing things. I don't like disturbing things. I don't like disturbing books. Or maybe there's a specific kind of disturbing that I like. This wasn't it. This wasn't it. It is creative, but not in the way that it's disturbing, if that makes sense. You might love this. You might love it. If you like disturbing, weird things, you might love it. I personally did not. I personally have a lot of mixed feelings about it. This is a story. This is all I'll tell you. Because this is all I really knew before getting into it. It's a story about a young girl. We start out with her as a young girl who has a cousin, and they are romantically in love with each other and dating. Okay? That's number one. He believes he's an alien. She believes she's a magician. She believes he is an alien as well. She grows up to believe that she's actually an alien too. And that's all I'm going to tell you. There's a lot of disturbing stuff in here that I'm questioning if it was disturbing just to be disturbing. And if so, I don't like that. I don't like that. But if it wasn't, okay, I still didn't like it. I don't think this was a bad book. I finished this in a day. It's a page turner, that is for sure. Even though I hated the experience, I still couldn't get enough. Editing bay. I just lied. I absolutely could get enough of it. I actually wanted to read it so fast just so it could be done as soon as possible. I don't know why I said that. Okay, back to the video. Which, like, I want to say, I don't think this is a bad book. It's not for me. Or or it is because it really did make me feel something viscerally. And that's what I want out of books, is for them to make me feel something. So this did that. Giving it the benefit of the doubt. It did that. Oh boy, did it do that. But I think this book I think that this book is about oppressive aspects of society, or the society, the culture that you live in, ones that tell you you are supposed to fit in a certain box and fill a certain role. And it's about the people who rebel against that, but particularly the ones who rebel so far that it actually destroys them and further perpetuates those ideas in society that they were against, that they were trying to rebel against. I think that that's what it is. I think. If so, and then we're using those disturbing parts to do that, great. I would give it 3 stars just because I think the writing itself could have been better. But also, again, translation. It's I think, yeah, Japanese. It's originally in Japanese. Again, like I said before, we're gonna lose a lot and we're also gonna gain a lot. A lot of the writing has to do with the original author themselves. Translators are good. I don't mean to. Translators are great. They're great at what they do. Um, I think most try to avoid this, but I think it's impossible to not have the translator's voice and their own stance as a person still come through a little bit. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but the writing itself, I'm a sucker for literary devices. Might be why I'm an English major. I'm a sucker for that, and I'm a sucker for literary devices that like intentionally are used to like emphasize themes and ideas within the story. I don't think that was used here, and that's why I give it 3 stars. 3 stars, giving it the benefit of the doubt, is that it wasn't disturbing just to be disturbing. 2 stars if it was just disturbing to be disturbing. That's Earthlings by Sayaka Murata. Next, and last but not least, last but not least, I, of course, after reading that, and reading a lot of books that were kind of heavy. Ceremony was heavy. Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit was heavy. The Tree Grows in Brooklyn was heavy. Earthlings was... And so I said, you know what? I need something happy. I need something happy. I need some light drama. Ooh la la. Something fluffy and... Is fluffy the right word? Maybe not. Frivolous. And so I went with the classic The Age of Innocence by Edith Wharton. Two classics. No, multiple classics this month. I'm a classics machine. This book was good. I liked this book. Really good pacing. Sometimes but most of the time it was like really good pacing. I liked the writing. Sometimes it got a little repetitive, but overall I liked it. Of course, a lot of things. Let me tell you about it. We follow a man named Newland Archer, and he is engaged to May Newland. Nope, to May Welland. This is the Gilded Age, New York. Okay? Great Gatsby. This is that. Maybe even a little bit before that. I don't know. Not a historian. And then okay, let me collect myself. What is this story about, you ask? We follow a young man in Gilded Age New York who is engaged to May Welland. His name is Archer Newland. Newland Archer. I've been yapping for 40 minutes. Newland Archer is engaged to May Welland. May Welland's cousin. I'm not talking this up very well. May Welland's cousin comes into town. Her name is Ellen Olenska, and shit hits the fan. This book is about traditions and cultural norms that people cling on to. And in this case, that they are clinging on to that come from Europe. But they're in America now. And then there's also the people who are challenging those traditions and those common ideas. And then there's everybody stuck in the middle because of it. It really is about that transition period. And on the back, it says it is about the constraints of privilege. Yeah, it is. It is a book about yearning. There's a lot of yearning in here. And the choices we make and how they affect everyone around us and what we decide to do because of it. Yeah, I think I give this book on a personal level, the ending was great. I might actually give let's hold off on that. I don't know what I rate it yet. Let's leave that as a mystery. But this book had a great ending. I think this book was one of the ones that I liked the ending the most. Maybe this one and Wuthering Heights were maybe two of my favorite endings. This month. Yeah, I think you should read this. I'm like not sad about it anymore, but of course I was sad about it when I was reading it, but it wasn't heart wrenching, it wasn't too heavy. I think it was a perfect balance. It was a great end to the month. I want to thank you for watching this video. If you've made it this far, wow, wonderful. I've got more videos to come, I hope. I've got a lot of stuff ahead that I really want to do. But I hope you liked this. And I hope I didn't deter you from reading anything. I think it is important as readers, talking to my fellow readers, that we don't only try and read what we think we will like. I know that's hard and it's something that I still struggle with. But I think to really grow as a person and as a reader is just to read it. And if you don't like it, and if you hate it enough to not finish it, don't finish it. But just try it. Okay? That's my message of the day. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you again in another video. If not, farewell. Okay. Bye. Read!